Exploring Eberron introduced not only two new subclasses, which I have a video going over them up top, but also introduced variant capstone features for the Artificer based on its different subclasses, including the ones introduced in this book. So in this video, we're going to go over them all and see how they stack with the traditional capstone feature for the Artificer. Before we start with looking at the new ones, let's first get a refresher on what the original capstone feature did. Soul of Artifice, which states, you develop a mystical connection with your magic items, which you can draw on for aid. You gain the following benefits. Cheat Death, if you are reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright. You can disintegrate any number of uncommon or rare magic items created by your Replicate Magic Item feature. If you do so, your hit points instead change to the number equal to 20 times the number of magic items disintegrated. And Magical Guidance. When you finish a short rest, you regain all expended uses of your Flash of Genius if you have attunement to at least one magic item. So as a baseline capstone, I would say it's pretty decent, with the ability to, as the feature suggests, cheat death, and bring yourself back up by sacrificing some replicated items. And getting Flash of Genius recharge on a short rest is nice, kind of underwhelming for a capstone feature. So overall, a good capstone, but definite room for improvement. So let's see how the others stack up. First up is Alchemist, with its capstone feature, Perfected Elixirs, which states the following. You can create perfect elixirs with potent effects. When you produce elixirs at the end of a long rest, you can create one Panacea elixir and one Vivacity elixir. These elixirs follow the same rules as your other elixirs, but they cannot be produced any other way. Panacea. The drinker is restored to full hit points, and all conditions affecting them are ended. If the drinker has died within the last hour, they instead revive with 1 hit point. This elixir cannot revive a creature that has died of old age, nor does it restore any missing body parts. Vivacity. The drinker gains the benefits of your resilience, +1 to AC, boldness at D4 to attacks and saving throws, and flight elixirs for 8 hours. When gained this way, the flight elixir grants a fly speed of 50 feet. Again, I would say it's a pretty decent capstone, but when comparing it to the previous one, I don't think it is much better. Granted, the healing capability is now extended to others, but the Alchemist could already do that. And obviously a free Revivify is also nice. But at level 20, that's not exactly much of an issue anymore, so it is a solid feature, but it doesn't really trump the Soul of Artifice. Next up is the Armorer, with Overcharge, which states the following. As a magic action, you can overcharge your armor to unleash a torrent of energy forming a 100-foot long and 50-foot wide line that blasts out from you in a direction that you choose. The type of energy unleashed by the line depends on your current armor. Dreadnought deals force damage, Guardian deals thunder damage, and Infiltrator deals lightning damage. Each creature in the line makes a dexterity saving throw, taking 30d6 of the appropriate damage type on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. Once you use this feature, you cannot use it again until you finish a long rest. This one is now some real competition, trading survivability for raw damage. Since the average of 30d6, rounded down, is 104, which at level 20 is nothing to scoff at. Albeit it is a dex save, which against creatures at this level, on average is one of their better saving throws, but it is also not designed for single target damage. So I would say it's not entirely applicable to apply this logic to. Even so, on a success, it's 52 damage against multiple creatures. That's pretty damn solid. So overall, the armor has a very solid variant capstone that I would say is more than worthy of a 20th level feature. The Artillerist gets Infused Cannon, which grants the following. As a magic action, you can cause one or both your cannons to produce one of the following effects below. Dragon Flame. The cannon exhales fire in a 60-foot cone. Each creature in that area makes a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC, taking 5d8 fire damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. Barrage. The cannon lobs a ball of concentrated energy at a point you choose within 120 feet of it. Each creature in a 20-foot radius sphere centered on that point must make a Constitution saving throw, taking 5d8 force damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. And Restoration. The cannon emits a wave of curative energy, targeting itself and each creature of your choice within 10 feet of it. Each target regains 25 hit points and is cured of blind, deafened, paralyzed, and poisoned conditions. So the Artillerist capstone feature is alright, not as flashy as its Armorer cousin, but it does provide continuous AoE attacks. Granted, they are targeting saves that most creatures do better on, but as long as they stay alive, it can get some decent viability out of it. But I do think the Restoration one is overall better, since you could just have one cannon be this variant, and be able to dish out consistent healing while keeping itself out of harm's way. So I would say it's a pretty good capstone, but I don't think it dwarfs the baseline one. The Battlesmith gets Steel Vanguard, which grants them the following. As a magic action with Smith's tools in hand, you can infuse your Steel Defender with Arcane Energy, granting it the following benefits for 1 minute. Multi-tack. The Steel Defender gains the multi-tack action, allowing it to make 4 Force-empowered rend attacks. Flight. The Steel Defender gains a fly speed equal to its speed. Protective Shield. The Steel Defender gains 50 temporary hit points. And Limitless Jolt. Using Arcane Jolt does not expend uses. Once you use this feature, you cannot use it again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend a 5th level spell slot, no action required, to restore the use of it. The Battlesmith gets a really solid capstone with this, with the two standouts being multi-tack. With only having to forgo one of your attacks, you could then give your defender 4 of them, which, including your own, would bring the Battlesmith on par with a fighter in terms of raw attack power. Or at least I think so. On top of that, Unlimited Arcane Jolt, allowing you to tack on an extra 4d6 to one of your attacks once per turn with no consequence, I would say is pretty solid, and I think puts it at least on par with the Soul of Artifice. One of the newer Artificer subclasses, the Cartographer, also gets a variant capstone with Travel Anywhere, which grants them the following. If you are one of the bat holders for your adventure's atlas, you can cast Gate without a material component. You can also cast it once without a spell slot, and you regain the ability to cast it this way when you finish a long rest. When you cast a spell with this feature, the duration extends to 10 minutes, and damage cannot cause you to lose concentration. Also, you can choose to link the portal to a precise location on the same plane of existence, or a different plane of existence. So this one, although thematically very cool for the subclass, mechanically though, it is pretty weak, since, albeit Gate is a pretty solid spell, and changing its property to basically a free teleport that you can use is neat. It doesn't quite match the level of power, in my opinion, to Soul of Artifice. Next is the Forge Adept, which they get Weapon of Legend, which grants them the following. You're able to connect your spirit to your allies, making them your living weapons. You gain the following benefits while wielding your Gal Sharat. Constant Aura. Your Aura of War is always active, and you can take a bonus action to change its damage type. Retributive Aura. Whenever an enemy starts its turn in your Aura of War, that creature takes damage equal to the extra damage provided by your aura. Empower Aura. As a bonus action, you can increase the extra damage provided by your Aura of War to 2d6. This increase lasts for 1 minute. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So the Forge Adept also gets a very solid capstone that basically just gives them consistent damage, which I think, like the Battlesmith, is at least on par with the baseline capstone feature. And lastly, we have the Maverick, which they get Improved Genius, which grants them the following. You can take the magic action to cast any spell of 8th level or lower. This takes the place of the usual casting time of the spell, and you don't need to meet any of the requirements to cast the spell, including costly components. The spell simply takes effect. Once you cast the spell with this feature, you cannot do so again until you finish a long rest. Much like the rest of the subclass being mechanically strong, this capstone is no different, since they basically just get the Wish spell. Granted, missing its other features, but retains one of Wish's best functions of being able to replicate any spell, which on top of Maverick's already being able to access almost all the spells of the game, already makes this capstone very good, and I can honestly say is much better than the Soul of Artifice by a mile. That's all the capstones for Artificer that were introduced in Exploring Eberron, most of them being very solid add-ons, with one very big standout. If you enjoyed this video, why not leave a like on this video, and subscribe to keep up to date on all things D&D and TTRPGs. If you want even more, why not check out one of these videos. Bye for now.